What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here. We have a lot to discuss as we get into what is most likely going to be yet another crazy trading week. We are going to go over some of kind of the broad market news here that's influencing the price action that we have been seeing. And then, as always, we're going to be covering some of your favorite names here, guys. Neo, Hims, Palantir, and Sofi, giving you guys a little update on some of the most relevant and up-to-date pieces of news, as well as the chart so that you guys have a better understanding of what to expect in the short term. So, before we get into all of that information, everybody, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community, Less Trades, More Profits. Guys, I keep telling you every single day, every single week, that I am just going to keep coming out and showing you guys the most insane results that anybody has ever seen in the trading space here. We are doing things, guys, with LTMP that the trading space has literally never seen before. I said this 5 10x trades ago, 10 10x trades ago, 15 10x trades ago, 20 10x trades ago, that I am just going to keep doing this for everybody. Again, prices are increasing this week, so if you guys do want to lock in that lower rate, which again means that the price you join at is the price that you're locked in at, the price will never go up on you. And again, I'm giving you guys a little bit of a gift here. 50% off your first month. Use code September with that link down below. We'd love to have you in there and have you be my next success story. So let's get into everything over here. Again, when we kind of think about the things that are influencing the market here, one of the things that I like to talk about with LTMP is I'm very unbothered most of the time by the things that are coming out in the headlines that really aren't going to have all that much of an effect over the medium to the long term here. So, as a lot of people know, we do have this potential looming government shutdown here. A looming U.S. government shutdown could leave hundreds of thousands of federal employees without pay and delay key economic reports. President Donald Trump's canceled a scheduled meeting with top Democrats, Representative Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Chuck Schumer, that was to discuss resolving a standoff over temporary funding measures. Democrats want the stopgap to include healthcare protections, including extensions of Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year. Now, while this can lead to a little bit of short-term volatility in the market, almost every single time, guys, this doesn't lead to any drastic effect on equity prices over any significant period of time. So again, there might be a little bit of volatility this week with some of these headlines, but overall, this is not going to lead to anything significant. A lot of this is just political posturing, which we see every single time these types of events happen. Now, last week we also had some pretty key data and a couple of key comments from some of these FOMC speakers. Now, the market, again, was reacting a little bit negatively to a couple of those statements there, but when you think about what those statements actually were, it's all things that we already knew. When Jerome Powell comes out and he says that asset prices are a little bit inflated in their valuation, well, obviously, the market has been ripping to and through these all-time highs here ever since those bottoms that we saw back in that kind of tariff and Liberation Day dilemma back in the beginning part of this year. So when you really think about this whole economic landscape here, there really is not anything new, and the little pullback that we have seen in the market really just appears to be a kind of short-term technical pullback that is healthy to witness in markets just like this. Now, looking forward into this week here, we do have some more key pieces of economic data. The most important is going to be non-farm payrolls coming up on Friday. So, thinking about what the key decision makers are really looking at for moving forward in terms of what they're going to do with rate cuts. Again, this is something that we've talked about a lot, that Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve have been kind of a little bit behind the curve here in terms of their expectation that these tariffs were going to lead to significant price increases, and they were labeling that as inflation, which technically it's not. It really just is that one term increase there, because inflation, again, is a rate of change over time. But when you think about what we're looking at moving forward into this week, non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate is a really, really important metric here, because if we continue to see the unemployment rate starting to tick up here to, let's say, 4.4, 4.5%, well, that's going to be an indication that growth in the overall economic system here could start to slow down. And with what Jerome Powell said at Jackson Hole, that effectively they're all right with inflation running a little bit above trend for the foreseeable future here, as long as growth is not sacrificed. So that's kind of why we're going to be looking very closely here at NFP coming out this week. But let's get into some of these individual names here, guys. The first one that I want to talk about with you is NIO. Now, again, this was one of the 20 plus 10x trades, multi 10x trades, honestly, that I've given out to the LTMP group over the last kind of 2.5 months here. We had this awesome breakout from this $5 area. We had another one back in here, and NIO is now starting to set up again at these highs for a nice potential move to the upside here. Now, we have a very, very key level that we need to get through on NIO here in order to make that next push, and it is going to be this high from back in September of 2024. That's $7.71 area. Now, with the type of news that we are starting to see come out with NIO, and thinking about this overall thesis that I've kind of had with NIO as a whole here, again, the 4,000 share position that I have on NIO at 455 is not a significant position for me at all. Kind of treating it like an option, and it really comes down to NIO as a company's ability to execute on the goals that they have outlined to shareholders over the last few years, especially when there's been a lot of over-promising and under-delivering, but that is starting to change. When we come over here, NIO Firefly reaches 20,000th delivery milestone. Again, having these sub-brands is very, very important for NIO to attempt to reach those profitability goals that it is outlined to all of its shareholders here. And then again, that flagship model, or that flagship brand, the NIO ES8 capacity for 2025 sold out, with new customers facing earliest deliveries in March of 2026 here. You can see the demand is relatively high for a lot of these NIO products. Again, the execution of these deliveries and further sales from the NIO main brand and the sub-brands Envo and Firefly are going to be what is going to potentially drive this towards some of these profitability metrics and have NIO potentially get re-rated a lot higher in terms of its valuation here. Now, the next name that I want to talk about with you guys in this video here is another retail favorite, and that is Hims. So, again, there has been a decent amount of volatility with this name, but if you guys have been paying attention to the daily live streams that I do every single day for you guys on this channel here at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, again, we've talked about this day right here, Thursday, August 21st, a lot. Now, what was important about this day? Well, this day in particular right here was the most recent time that I was outlining for everybody that Hims was a decent buy at these levels here. Now, why was I saying that? Well, when you take a look at this chart, not only do you have a really, really solid level of support at this area after Hims had a significant period of drawdown, but you were also coming right back to that daily 200 exponential moving average here, which Hims has shown that it loves to respect many, many times on this daily time frame over the last year or so here. So what I was saying was, again, this is not the spot here to be going absolutely crazy, pouring significant amounts of money into Hims, but that was kind of that first area which made a lot of sense to be going out and dipping your toe back in if you wanted to either initiate a position in Hims or to add to an already existing position. And you guys can see the performance of that call out has been very solid over the last couple of weeks here. And again, we had a couple of other short-term trade outlines here as well. But again, looking at this chart here, overall in a nice bullish trend, looking to get back up to those highs. Now, there are a couple of interesting things happening here with Hims. Now, again, we have seen a lot of this news here coming out. US FDA sends drug advertising warning letters to Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Hims. Like I was saying in last week's video here, I didn't really expect that to affect Hims all that much here because, again, these are things that the market kind of already knows, especially as it relates to advertising and also these compounded drugs. But what I will say here is that when you take a look at some of the data here, Hims does have a relatively high level of short interest on it right now when taking a look right here. you can see that there's about 33.67% short interest on HIMS right now, which could easily fuel these moves to the upside even more and create a kind of scenario here where HIMS could start moving very, very aggressively into these recent highs if the overall market is looking to hold on to its current levels here. So that's kind of what we have to say on HIMS on that front right now. Let's move on a little bit here to Palantir. So looking at the chart of Palantir here, those of you guys in LTMP, again, you guys know what we're looking at here. This level 185.66 here, really solid kind of short-term trade setup here to the upside. If we are able to break out above those levels, we could easily see a very quick move through these highs here. Now, obviously, you probably will see a decent amount of resistance at this 190 area, but if that breaks, you could easily see Palantir above 200 in the very near future. Now, again, if you think back to the videos that I made on Palantir over the last couple of weeks here, back in August, late August, early September here, we were looking at this period on Palantir and obviously outlining this as a very bearish chart setup. But if you paid attention to what we were talking about in those videos there, what I did say was that even though we do have a pretty bearish setup here on Palantir, there have been a lot of instances, as showcased by these significant wicks, that these sellers have made pretty significant attempts to push Palantir lower, and they were not able to do that. And I said that there was a very high likelihood that Palantir was going to get snapped back to the upside here, and that is exactly what we ended up seeing. Now, for those of you guys that are new to the channel, I think you're probably starting to see a trend here after the 21 multi-thousand% trades that I've handed out to LTMP, the calls that I've made on these individual names. There is a reason, guys, why LTMP is as successful as it is, and why I'm able to showcase better results than anybody else in the trading and investing space here. So again, just looking at Palantir here, from a technical standpoint, if the market is able to hold on, we are looking at some pretty bullish action coming in the near future. And just kind of on a fundamentals front, again, Palantir, in my opinion, is very overvalued. In the short term here, this is one, from an investing standpoint, that is not one that you go out and buy at current levels, but it's definitely not one that you go out and short. If you guys are still in this one from when I gave it out to you guys initially in the $15 range, congratulations. You can just kind of sit on those big gains. In thinking about Palantir, again, as a business, they are doing everything that they need to do on the commercial side, on the government contracting side, in order to continue growing their business. Specifically, this one right here, Palantir Technologies receives military AI contract from the UK government worth 750 million pounds there. So again, continuing to bolster that kind of accounts receivable here in generating more of that revenue. So that's kind of it on Palantir. The last name that I want to talk about with you guys here is Sofi. Now, again, Sofi has been kind of quiet in terms of the overall news here. There hasn't really been anything significant, but thinking about just kind of the cycle that we're in and the position that Sofi is in, getting back into crypto this year, rates are starting to move lower. Again, there are a lot of positive things to look forward to on Sofi. Now, again, there's not really anything to do on this one in the short term here. And again, I'm going to take this time to victory lap a little bit more. Last year in July, I gave this name out to the LTMP group here. And really on these streams as well, at $6.55. Stock hit $30 over the last week here. Really awesome move. And just recently, I gave you guys this weekly breakout here at $13.60 on Sofi. So the stock is already up 100% from the last time that I gave you guys this. So again, not really anything to do right now in the short term with Sofi. If there is anything to do with this one, obviously I will tell you guys, but that's probably going to be saved for LTMP. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up this video here. We have a very interesting week ahead. I hope you are ready for some excitement. I will see you on the streams, and honestly, really big shout out to all of you guys that are hopping into LTMP here over the weekend and into and before that next price increase. Again, this is the best place to come and learn how to operate in the market, guys. I show you guys the most insane results from my students every single week here. There is nobody else out there that is handing out the magnitude of gains that I am, and also at the level of consistency that we are. So if you guys are interested in that, remember, use code September, get 50% off your first month, and lock in that lower rate before the prices go up. So other than that, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.